Welcome to Soki Sports Talk, covering all youth, middle school, and high school sports, local scores, interviews, and special guests for all aspects of youth sports reaching Warren County and surrounding areas. Welcome everyone to Soki Sports Talk. I'm your host Nathan Perkins from the basement, and my co-host this evening,
Drake Perkins.
And we're lucky to have Drake tonight. He's been under the weather this past few weeks or days, not weeks, the last couple of days. So hopefully you're feeling better.
Yeah, I feel a lot better.
Yeah,
I feel a lot better than I did earlier this week. I'll tell you that.
well, that's good. So, got an exciting show tonight. We're going to get away from the analytics and all the garbage shit that we've been trying to do and get into some basketball.
Sweet.
So we're going to have some basketball discussion. So we've had some interesting discussions last couple of weeks to get me, for the last few days, get me kind of prepared for this conversation at work. So it's been kind of interesting. So you got any scores for this week?
There were no games yesterday around this area, and there's actually no games tonight in this area. I think tomorrow South and Bowling Green play. I think.
Yeah, I think they're back at it again tomorrow night. I know recently at the end of last week, I think was it Warren Central and South went into double overtime?
Yes.
Or overtime.
Last Friday,
Yeah.
I think.
Good game. Watched the game. It was a back and forth shooting competition. So it was actually a really good game. So
Yeah, it looks like a lot of games tomorrow night.
yeah, I think is it getting down to district play?
The way it looks.
So yeah, we'll start to see a lot more games for district, and then region, and then we get into state tournament. So we're gonna try to, and then guess what starts soon? Baseball.
Our sport.
Our sport. So we're hoping to, break out there, get some little more topics, and start going, because that's something we're familiar with. But hey, thanks to all you fans out there for sticking with us, hanging with us. We appreciate it. Appreciate the compliments. Appreciate the feedback. And this has kind of been a fun little thing to do.
Yeah, it has.
Just sit around and talk sports, youth sports, whatever. But, there's a lot of stuff out there regarding our topic for the evening, which is basketball. How do you feel about the basketball thing with youth sports right now?
Well, I think about this area or in
in general.
States?
I mean, this area we're a little familiar with. We haven't got to, again, we're trying to get this thing rolling, so we haven't really got to watch out some of the youth sports. I follow on some of my friends, on acquaintances, if you want to call it, more probably than friends, but
Facebook
on
friends.
Book of Faces friends. So I follow some stuff out there, watch some things, see some things, talk to some people involved in this kind of stuff. But in general, we're not going to talk about anything specifically in this area, I guess. But how do you feel about it? What do you think? So, I mean, let's talk about the little, what I would say might be an elephant that's kind of out there in baseball land. And I talked to you a little bit earlier at dinner about this.
You talking about baseball or basketball? You said baseball.
I meant basketball.
Okay.
My
Just make
fault.
sure. Now you're good. Just make sure.
I got off on subject, but I think it was Powell County. Did you hear about that?
No, you were talking about that. How there was a little scuffle.
Yeah, I was
said
trying to see if I could.
Powell County,
Let me search this.
But yeah, you said it was. You said it wasn't. It wasn't too bad, but it was something to look, something to watch, something to.
It could lead into part of a
good conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find. Give me just a minute. Excuse me on this. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't Powell County. Maybe it was Owsley County.
But it was here in Kentucky.
Yeah, it was in Kentucky. I'm just trying to figure out what it was. Anyway, so y'all forgive me out there. I don't have 100% information, but I did see the video. And the interesting part today is I listened to, my routine for during the day on the radio.
I do.
I always listen to KSR radios. It's always interesting. I always watch Sporting Times. I always read Max Preps. So we're always trying to follow up. But KSR radio, let me back up. Put the brakes on it. Let me back up. So the situation was apparently at this basketball game, there was a foul call.
Okay.
From what I could see on the video, it was a knee clip on a cut around, clipped him knee. I think it actually done some pretty significant damage to the player's knee.
Okay.
I haven't done anything follow up wise on that, but to see, but I think it did. So they called. Obviously in that situation, there's a lot of frustrations and emotions that get started, and I guess the bench is cleared for one program, and then it kind of went on to that. Never got into a true brawl, but it was into a little scuffle. I'll use the word scuffle because there was no brawl. I think, if I have my information correct, I think about all but 7 players on one team, the visiting team, was ejected.
Montgomery County and Powell County.
Okay, so I had the Powell County correct.
Yep.
I was just missing in Montgomery County. So anyway, there was an ejection of all but 7 players. I think rightfully so. I think the referee was on KSR today, and he was kind of defending himself. I don't think he should have to defend. I don't think any referee should have to defend himself.
Absolutely
but unfortunately, that's the time we're living.
Yep.
And these guys are having to defend themselves. Now, that will be a subject that we can talk about at some point, sometime. I think there's a two-way street on referees, umpires, officials, period, that I see right now, and it's there. We won't get onto that tangent tonight, but there's a whole different discussion that I see on that on officials.
Yep.
Being one for basketball, football. Well, we've done a little bit of everything. I have. We had something.
I think
baseball,
so.
Minor stuff, nothing major.
Nothing major.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about. So they were doing another play, and I think it was kind of, I don't want to say a retaliation foul, but it was a pretty rough foul. And so the coach from one of the teams just packed her shit and left.
Wow.
Like right before halftime. I mean, just packed up, put their backpacks on, and walked out of the gymnasium.
Wow.
Now, I understand they had 7 kids, and if they got another kid potentially hurt as a retaliation, you get to the point where you're not able to compete. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on, first of all, what's your thoughts on the situation? Second of all, what's your thoughts on what the coach did?
So the situation, I'm not a big fan of fights. I think there's better ways to handle that stuff. I mean, obviously they're gonna smack talk. You could push and shove maybe as far as I would go. I wouldn't. Was there any fist throwing, or was it just a bunch of pushing and shoving?
A lot of pushing and shoving. So I will agree with you to a certain extent. There wasn't, from what I remember, from what I saw, I don't believe there was any fist thrown. I think there was a lot of pushing and shoving and carrying on. I don't know that it was that physical. I mean, the referee, he controlled the game. Yeah. I think there was a little bit too much power shown by ejecting.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
And again, we're talking high school basketball. There is no review like college. They can go to the scores table and they can pick out number 32 or so and so, and they can eject that player.
Correct.
So, but the first ejection was basically because they stepped onto the floor, and I don't believe there was that many kids that were solely involved.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
That's where I have an issue. So I think that in that case, if you can't, as a official group, can't determine who was initiating it or who was in the middle of it, then you call some technical fouls, and you give it was a pretty good lick. So yeah. Maybe the kid that clipped that initially started it, he probably should have been ejected. It was a hard. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a hard foul.
Yeah.
I would have called it a murder foul. I mean, he absolutely just, dropped the kid, and I mean, he just knee clipped him.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think about? This is the bigger topic. What do you think about the coach's actions?
I don't like it. I don't think he should handle it that way. I'm not a big fan of just walking out. I mean, at least go through halftime and then say, yeah, we're done. Don't just walk out.
What are you teaching? I mean, why? Of course, again, they interviewed the official on KSR radio, and he explained himself, and definitively, he, what you see and what they talked about, he did the right things on some of it. I think he overly ejected, but I mean, I think he should have ejected. So it's, I'm speaking out of both sides. I think out of my mouth. I think he overly ejected. I think they should have kind of condensed it down. I don't know that they should have left everybody that left the bench.
Yeah.
Because some of the kids were just coming out onto the floor as of emotions, reactions.
Yeah.
If you were in the little huddle of the pushing and shoving, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have done that. But on the flip side of it, I think you need to get again. Here's the part that I don't like about these little snapshot videos.
Yeah.
What was the scenario up to the second half of or middle of the second half or second quarter?
Yeah. There had to be something.
I mean, there has to be stuff that leads to that. And again, we only see a snapshot because, unfortunately, social media is all about the views, and it's all about the draw. So we don't get to see the first initial. That stuff builds and emotions fly due to something.
Yeah.
And we won't never know that unless we watch the whole game that was done. So I'm not going to say I'm going to defend the referee because I don't know the whole situation. I wasn't there. I can't say I'm going to, criticize him because, again, I don't know the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I have seen, I think he went a little too far.
Okay.
I think he could have minimized that ejection, maybe condensed it down a little bit, tightened up the play on the game a little bit, started calling it. I do not, as a coach, totally agree with that. Now, if he got to the point where he went over and called a timeout, the officials table said, look, this kid's now hurt. I'm down to 6 players. I don't feel like that this game with 2.5 quarters left, I don't believe that it's beneficial for us to play and
safely play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then to me, you forfeit the game and you move on.
That's kind of where I was going with that. Is there's got to be. I mean, of course, you can play with 5. You can play with 5. By rules, you can play with 5.
Safely, you can't.
Safely, you
can't.
But yeah, I agree with you right there.
Yeah. So, I think that should have been the initial step. They were only a couple minutes from going to the halftime. He should have at least played the half out, and then to keep the emotions and all the bullshit garbage that went with the whole ordeal, he could have come back out and said, hey, we don't feel comfortable with playing with 6 kids, or this kid's hurt. We think we're going to have to forfeit. And you go on.
Yeah.
And you're already in the locker room. You go straight from the locker room to the bus, and you get out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally pulled their stuff off their backpacks, gathered their stuff up, and I don't know, 2 minutes, minute and a half left, they just walked out.
Wow.
Out of the gymnasium. People didn't
know what to do. Wow. Yeah, I don't like that.
So I didn't agree with that.
Nope.
So that is one of the big stories out of basketball, which kind of, well, not big stories, but it here in Kentucky.
Yeah, but say here in Kentucky.
Like I said, it made KSR radio. So it had to be.
Had to be pretty big.
It had to be pretty big for Matt Jones and them to talk about it. I mean, they don't usually bring up much of high school except for rankings and all that kind of stuff. So, so I sent you a few articles this week and this, that, and the other, and I've really read through a couple more, and I've got a couple more brought up. This kind of, give us something to baselines and kind of talk about. But
as a basketball reference,
yeah, yeah, So I mean, some of the things that I found interesting, and I kind of agree with this. One of the things that you read through, and we had this conversation today, is what do you think the state of youth basketball, and what do you see? I mean,
it's rough. I personally think it's rough with some of the way these kids are playing now. They're kind of playing it. With basketball being a team sport, they're not playing as a team sport, I guess is the way I'm thinking of it. They're playing individualized, and it just don't work. It don't flow.
Yes, that is one of the things that I see. So as far as what I see with youth basketball, again, I think it starts from the top. Everything that we do in the youth level, whether it be soccer, volleyball,
Baseball,
basketball,
football.
you name it.
Yeah.
We emulate what we see from the professionals. Now, what I have a problem with is the first word of the statement I just said. Professionals.
Professionals, yep.
They are being paid to do a job.
Yep.
So if I hire you and you don't have the skill sets, what did you fail to do?
My job.
And you failed to learn a skill set.
Yep.
So, what, like we've watched, I mean, we watch a lot of sports. You know, sometimes you watch more than I do, but we watch a lot of, and I watch a lot of high school basketball, not in person.
Yeah.
I don't have it. We can't go everywhere, but
No.
I watch a lot of high school basketball here since we've started all this.
Yeah.
So I keep up with a lot what's going on, and I watch in order to have these conversations. I watch a little bit of each thing. I watch a little bit of. I'm not a great fan of college basketball, and then I've read some articles that's a common theme.
Really? College basketball
College basketball viewership is down
until March, and that's when
March.
That's when it picks up.
And then NBA is kind of up.
Wow. Okay.
But high school participation is way up. Like, I mean, I think I was reading a statistic the other day that, let me see if I can find. Yeah, it says out of 28.1 million Americans are playing basketball from the age of 6 and up. It's high.
That is high.
So there's a lot of participation in basketball. Again, women's basketball is declining, even though college is on the upswing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if you watch women's college basketball, who do you think of?
Caitlin Clark.
And UConn.
Yeah, UConn.
So, I mean, when you have one team that dominates, it's not much fun to enjoy and watch.
No, it's not.
And then, you know, of course, professional basketball, you've got, I mean, you had the late Kobe Bryant. Now you've got, I don't know some of these guys.
I guess LeBron right now.
Yeah, LeBron.
Ja
King
Morant.
LeBron.
Ja Morant. I'm trying to think. Wemby.
Yeah. So you've got those guys that are out there setting the bar to try to accomplish. But, again, I bet if you asked every one of those kids, or every one of those guys, they would probably tell you that I didn't get here by not knowing the fundamentals and know how to play the game.
Yep.
It's anything that you do, you have to understand the game from the top to the bottom.
Yep.
And not just be able to. So, I mean, what do you see might be some of the problems that we see with youth basketball?
I guess all these kids think they're better than they are. I mean, we're going to be honest here. That's one of the biggest things I've seen.
One of the things that I think has changed over the years that would cause that is a couple different twofold things. One of the things that I see potentially is the style of play.
Yeah.
So we'll start with that. We'll have that. Let's discuss the style of play.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
So the style of play of basketball. I coached rec basketball. Never coached the AAU. Didn't know the AAU stuff existed. Yada yada yada. Whatever. But professional basketball is what?
Professional.
Right. But what kind of offense are they running? So what I see in professional is 5 out, 1 in, 4 out, 2 in. Or let me put that. 5 out, none in, 4 out, 1 in.
Yeah.
So they're playing a lot of offense.
Yeah.
So they're not playing a whole lot of defense. It's all out, and there's very little on the inside. And then, so what I see is all offense, all shooting guard, all shooters. I mean, you got big man. Hell, you got big man shooting 3 points.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, you used to never see
No.
that. So it trickles down. So it goes into college. Now a lot of your gooder. That's a really nice word.
That is.
But we are in Kentucky.
We are in Kentucky, so it's okay.
So I feel a lot of your better basketball teams in college are not doing just post play. They're doing top, inside out.
Yep.
And then so they're trying to emulate the NBA.
Yep.
But they also know that in order to be successful, they can't completely do that because they have to have defense. You know, every kid can't shoot 3 points.
Nope.
So it's kind of a disconnect. So then when you drop down to high school, I think, personal opinion, high school ball is trying to completely emulate NBA. I believe that what you see is you see the 4 out, 1 in a lot. And if all you have to do is watch and really, really pay attention to what you see in high school basketball.
Yeah. So,
you know, I'll give you an example. I watched a game the other night on Sporting Times, and it was a back and forth game. But what I liked about one of the teams was we would come down, and I mean, they still had plays. They still would call the play. I mean, they did not shoot the ball until they touched it a minimum of 4 to 5 times.
Wow.
That was what I was taught. Again, that is not the play of game now, or the play how the game's played now. I get it. But why are we not doing that?
Yeah.
So then, again, that trickles down to what?
Little League.
Correct. Rec ball.
Rec ball.
Yep. Well, we'll call it Little League, Rec ball, we will call it. So it trickles on down to the what are we teaching the kids in youth? So I mean, I think it's getting lost at that area, and then it progressively goes higher.
Yeah.
The speed of the game is up. I mean, there's a lot more athletic kids out there that are playing. So, I mean, you see that part of it. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of the whole new age, how we play basketball.
Yeah.
And I know that I've read some articles and been, looking at some stuff and keeping up with some stuff, and I don't know absolutely diddly squat about AAU basketball. I know one of our neighbors, when he was a kid, he was asked to play AAU, but I can tell you about multiple articles I read, these NBA stars are saying that now AAU basketball is ruining these kids.
Okay.
So we're not real basketball people.
Yeah.
So I don't have a good opinion about it. I have an opinion. May not be a good one because I don't have a good back thought process behind it. But, I mean, we're not teaching anymore.
No.
And we'll get into this about basketball, but what do you think that now is, again, the problem with, we'll say, AAU basketball? What do you believe? What do you see? What do you think that is a problem? And people, before you shoot me 100 emails or dog cuss me or whatever you want to do, it is not just basketball.
No.
We are talking about basketball because guess what's in season?
Basketball.
We're definitely not going to talk about the football game because nobody, again, wants to see the Chiefs bring in their referee crew off the sidelines, and they're going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. But I would say over 95% of the states in this country are Eagles fans next weekend.
I'd say it's going to be 2 states are going to be cheering for this game.
Kansas or
Missouri and Pennsylvania. That's the only 2 states that are going to watch.
Yeah. But anyway, enough about that. We digressed.
Yeah, we digressed there.
So I forgot what I asked you.
I did too, to be honest.
So, I mean, AAU basketball.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. What do you see is I've watched, actually. I got online here a couple weeks ago and this, that, and the other because I don't want to seem like I don't know anything about it. But I did watch some tournament action, some stuff, and I've seen some people talk about it. What do you think might be?
All right, I guess I'm just gonna take a guess because like I didn't watch.
You didn't do any homework.
I didn't watch no videos.
Yeah, see, I do this stuff on my lunch break. I get resources. I try to get my information so we can have subject matter.
Yeah. I try.
Referential.
I didn't think about watching videos. That's I might have to try that next time. But when it comes to AAU basketball, I'm trying to relate to travel baseball because I know that more than I do basketball. But I can't.
What do you think? What do you think
I-
AAU basketball was originally developed for?
I want to say you're better players.
Exactly.
Be more competitive.
To be what?
Be more competitive.
Exactly. But one of the things that should be what I read when I kind of got that, not read but done some research on it about the beginning of AAU basketball. It was in the beginning it was developed for those outstanding players.
Yeah.
Those high skill set players. For that's where you were going to get noticed.
Exposure.
Exposure.
Gotcha.
Now, as with anything else, everybody wants to get their hands in it.
Water down then, huh?
I think so. I believe so, just because here's the way I look at it. Any type of form of sports.
Yeah.
Soccer. I don't care what it is. If you have a club sport and you're going to play at a tournament and you're going to compete competitively, and I will say this because we've done it.
Yeah.
We've had a program. We played our level of baseball. We knew it.
Yep.
But not everybody does that.
No.
And there's a couple of reasons. I get it. But if it has now become a business and we're taking advantage of these kids, first of all, the kids.
Yeah.
Second of all, the parents.
Yep.
It's like anything else. If we have 1,000 average teams, then somewhere along the way, and I say that it's all average, but it's not. Let's say we have, let's say we have 100 teams in a tournament.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say 60 of those teams or 70 of those teams are pretty daggone competitive.
Okay.
But the other 40 or 30% are not. Why are they all competing at the same level? So we put everybody in the same pot because it's easier to draw people to play if they can go beat the shit out of somebody by 20 points. If you are at a travel ball basketball tournament and you are scoring 20 points over your team, you're at the wrong tournament.
Yeah.
I've always said that about baseball.
Yeah.
If you're beating the teams by 21 points, 21 runs, you are playing well below your level as a trophy chaser.
Yep.
So I believe that AAU basketball has, for the kids and the benefit, I think they've diminished the play.
Okay.
I think they've diminished down what they used to believe in. And I mean, you could probably find an AAU basketball tournament all year round.
Yeah.
So I mean, these kids they're playing, and this is again for all sports. I sound a little hypocritical because we do it. I mean, we do the travel ball, but we only do 8 weeks.
I think so.
8 weeks out of the
8 or
summer.
9, maybe 9.
Yeah, once baseball season's over at high school, we do 8 or 9 weeks, and then we're done. And maybe a fall tournament here and there, just so they don't get complacent or sit around the house. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so the AAU to me it's not as competitive to me as it used to be, or what I would assume it would have used to be. Now, so that's the the kids aspect of it. So, but again, it used to be competitive baseball.
Yeah.
Or basketball. It used to be competitive basketball. It used to be very elite.
Yeah.
I think when the neighbor kid down here was talking about it, I mean, it was an elite team. They didn't play here at Warren County very often. They traveled. He was talking about how the travel was north, all these different places.
Yeah.
Well, now I think here in our area, there's probably a tournament every once or twice a month.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere
Yeah.
locally. So I believe it's become too much of a business.
Okay. I can see that.
I believe we diminished the game by that. And I believe, and I've read multiple articles that multiple NBA players are, and they even played AAU basketball, but they think over the years it's become a money grab.
Yeah.
And I I ain't gonna say that it all is.
No,
I'm gonna say it depends on what level you're playing at.
absolutely.
I mean, if you're playing, and again, and you've got 100 teams in it, and you know you go, oh, we beat that team by 25 points, and we beat this team by 20 points. Then to me, was that a beneficial tournament?
Yeah.
Everybody went home with a $10 trophy or a $5 ring. What'd you learn? What'd you benefit from it? If you want your player to be better, what did you learn? What did you benefit from?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's drop back down to youth. Let's drop back down to, let's say, rec ball / Little League.
Yeah.
We'll use that. Do you think that with the amount of play, do you think that it's been diminished?
I'd say so.
Why do you think it's been diminished? I mean, you say that, but why do you think that play in Little League is diminished? I mean, we had in Warren County alone, we had the highest number, I think they said, of youth kids sign up to play basketball. Now, again, in Warren County, I think here's another thing. We have 3 different divisions. You know that.
Yep.
We've always had. I guess it's just they usually just label it Warren County Little League or Warren County something basketball, but it's mostly the same 3 everywhere. You have Warren County South,
Yep.
so that's a lot of your southern part of the kids.
Yep.
Then you have Warren County North that has their own little league. Then you have basically the city
Yeah.
that has their own little league. So you have 3 different leagues, but you have the option to play in any league you want.
Yeah. So
if we're playing and scattering out kids, are we, is one division, one league being not watered down? I don't want to say because that's not the term I'm trying to think of. Is it being less competitive?
That's the way it kind of seems. That's the way that's the way I think it. Of course, we ain't been in the youth basketball in a while.
No, but we've had a pretty good conversation. I have with some people that I work with that are they're involved with it, and one of the things that I hear, and this individual, is a really good colleague of mine, and we talk about it a lot. And he does coach his kids play, and they're involved in youth sports, and he does help, and they do teach, but they're also respectful of the game.
Yeah.
They play teams and this, that, and the other. But one of the things that I ask is, why do you think that some of these teams are so like lopsided or one-sided? And like one of the things that he stated that I never thought of was tryouts.
Yeah.
So if you have 100 kids try out, he was stating that even with basketball or baseball nowadays that they're not showing up. So then you have 100 kids that signed up to play, and you have 25 of them that show up. So you have 25 of them you can evaluate and, let's say, draft as they do. But then you have 75 that you have no freaking idea what these kids are capable of doing because it's not their fault. They're not able to drive. So then they're not, if mom and dad can't at least bring them to evaluations to get them on a team that makes them successful, then I sometimes I feel sorry for these coaches.
Yeah.
Because they're put in a hard spot. We coached I did for what, 2 years or a year and a half of basketball? I think it was a year. Year and a half maybe. It was very hard because we saw the same thing, but it wasn't as bad. You did the little shoot arounds and you did the stuff. You had to come in, you could do that, and you kind of knew the kids. But one of the things that I know that happened when we did was you did a draft and everybody had their own team they wanted to get together and this, that, and the other. And again, we were guilty of it. The gentleman and myself that helped coach, we wanted to win.
Yeah,
that was the goal, was to win. But I think one of the things that we're doing, and I'm the same way. I'm competitive. I'm super competitive when it comes to it. But I think one of the things that we're losing is the teaching.
Yeah,
we're so wrapped up in in winning that we forget that we have to teach these kids. So I believe that one of the things that we do is we forget to teach fundamentals. We forget to teach plays. We forget to teach all this. So then when it's actually time to play basketball, we don't know any of it.
Yeah.
We have no concept.
Yep.
And it's not their fault.
No.
we are failing these kids as coaches and
Yeah.
teachers. So I don't know. What do you think about? Am I right? Am I wrong? You
I
agree?
mean, I think you're right. I mean, like you said, with some of these drafts, I mean, these coaches are going to know these kids' names, even if they didn't evaluate them. So you can kind of pick these kids' names based on past knowledge. So I think you're right on the aspect of watering down these leagues.
So how do you fix it, or is it fixable?
I don't know if it's fixable. I don't know if it's a quick fix. I don't think it would. I don't think it'd be fixable.
I think it can be,
You think it can be?
but it would tick off a lot of people because there's a lot of things that would have to change. There's a lot of things that would be done differently. I mean, you're talking. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they. I mean, I know Owen's doing it tonight, so they use a scoreboard, so every kid sees the scoreboard.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any tournaments, or I'm not sure. I'm not really familiar with exactly all of it. When we did, there was a one or first or second place, but there was no true tournament.
Yeah.
Again, that's the difference between rec ball. You're trying recreational youth base or basketball is designed to give a kid the opportunity to have fun, develop,
Yep.
and see if that's something that they're going to be good in. But I thought it helps with, we want these kids to be healthy. We don't want them sitting on their ass on the game box all the time. So, it promotes health.
Yeah.
But so the competitiveness, and you know as well as I do that if we have, I don't think AAU starts until 12. I'm not sure.
I
don't think it's like baseball. Look that up for us and see when it starts. I don't believe it's like baseball. We're not scamming people out of money at 7 and 8 years old to play in baseball tournament or basketball tournaments.
It's saying 7 and under
For AAU? Okay,
yeah.
then to me, we're back into the business aspect of it. What, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At 7, 8 years old.
7 to 20.
Yeah. So I have a problem personally with that.
Yeah.
I think at 7 years old, we're probably still learning to dribble.
Yeah.
I think we're still learning the defensive mechanisms behind playing defense.
Yep.
We're still learning the offensive side of basketball. Passing.
Yep.
And so that's with that. Do you think that now that our basketball kids or players know the game?
Not like they need to be more successful.
I think they're niche players.
Yeah.
And I think they all want to be shooters.
Who doesn't, right?
Right. But it's just like any other sport. Not everybody can pitch.
Nope.
Not everybody can quarterback.
Nope.
So some kids are phenomenal defensive linemen.
Yep.
Some kids are phenomenal right fielders.
Yep.
So, I mean, same thing with basketball. But I don't think that we, as a society or a youth society, push that.
No.
If you're playing in a rec league, or you're playing in high school and you're playing 4 out, 1 in, or you're playing 5 out and I've seen it. We come down and there are teams that will not pass. They'll run the ball straight down, shoot up, try to rebound, kick it out, shoot it, kick it out, shoot it, and they're playing with one pass shots.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's proven over the years that ball movement, unless your defense is on top of it or quick, that gets you the open shot.
Yeah.
Kick out, kick in, kick out, kick in, kick around the top.
Yep.
Get a shot.
Yep. Get open.
Yep. Try to get open. Now, I mean, I have actually watched these games, these high school games where these kids are standing bunched up. It's like we're not even that far apart,
No.
and they're standing here kind of like, what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And then they break off, somebody gets a shot, and they shoot the ball. Yay, so and so's on tonight. He's shooting 60%.
Yeah.
But then the very next game, he's shooting 10%.
Yeah.
It because the other team plays defense and they've doubled up, or they're playing a zone. That you don't see anymore hardly either.
It seems like it's all man.
Right. So basketball to me, I love the basketball. I played basketball when I was growing up, but I think we've got to start developing early.
Yep.
And we've got to get away from the trying to play NBA basketball. Because I'm sure that these guys that play NBA, if you ask them what do they see, I'm sure they would tell you that we're not seeing defense.
Yeah.
We're getting players that are coming in that are weak on defense.
Yep.
They're weak on we've heard this in baseball for years, baseball IQ. There is basketball IQ.
Yep.
You got to, what that means is you've got to know when you come down. You kind of know what they're doing. You kind of figured it out. You've paid attention. They're doing this, four out, one in, or they're actually playing a 2-box, whatever.
Yeah.
They're actually doing. You figured it out, so you can actually work with that, and you can recommend, hey, let's swap defenses. That is baseball IQ.
Yeah.
Or basketball IQ. That to me is what I see that sometimes is being missed.
Yeah.
In my opinion, one of the things I noticed before is that it just falls back to the structure. It falls back to the teaching. Some of these teams just in the beginning of the game, you remember when we used to start games, what did we do? We lined up, we did layups, we did pass things, we did these little whatever. Man, they just come out and do shoot arounds.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's the structure?
Yeah.
And I'm old school. So
Yep.
that again, this is old basketball, and then now we have the new age basketball. So I don't know, I struggle with it.
Yeah.
And I think some of these kids are like any other sport. I think their talents are not being brought out because they're not being taught techniques. They're not being taught, and I think one of the things is it's hard to find good coaches nowadays.
It is.
I mean, one of the things about rec ball and youth sports and this and the other is a lot of your coaches are volunteer.
Yep.
Like we did. We were volunteer. We did it on our own, and we do the best, but we didn't have underlying motives.
Nope.
We, if you know it for a fact, because I coached you.
Yep.
If you wasn't good enough to play on the infield,
No, I wasn't in the infield.
you wasn't in the infield. But I feel like sometimes with basketball, we always want to put the basketball in so and so's hands. But is that really the best option on the team? And again, I think that comes back to the coaches.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I think sometimes we're trying to live vicariously through our kids the stuff that we couldn't accomplish. Oh, my kid's going to make the NBA. No, he's not.
It's hard to make the NBA.
It's harder to make the NBA than it is baseball.
Yeah.
It's hard to make, any sport is hard. Football's probably the blanketed because they take, 55 kids on a team? And they take a lot of kids. So you probably got a better chance at football than any of them.
Yeah.
I know baseball is very thin. Basketball, I'm assuming, because, they only take how many players they usually take on a high school basketball?
10 or 11?
So you got JV's got 10 or 11, and then you got varsity's got 10 or 11.
I think so.
So
And you probably got a couple that swap or that.
play both sides.
Play both.
Both, yeah. So, so if you look at it, I think that we as coaches or coaches have to do better.
Yep.
Now, we're going to get into the other aspects on that. I think one of the other things that's kind of helping ruin all of that and the teaching and this and the other is what?
Social media.
Parents. I was going to get to the parent conversation.
I thought we were going to have a whole conversation with this just in a general. I thought that's what we said last week.
Yeah. Well, we are, but we're talking about basketball.
Okay.
And every sports parents are different.
Yeah.
You can set back. Football parents are different.
Yeah.
Baseball parents are different. Basketball parents are different. But I asked my colleague today what he thought about why are parents so aggressive in basketball. And one of the things, even with basketball, he made the comment, and I didn't think about it, that basketball is a close contact sport.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pushing. There's a lot of physical contact. There's a lot of shoving, whether it be at 8U, 12U, or college.
Yeah.
There's a lot of physical contact. And so, for whatever reason, nowadays parents either are blind to that, don't evaluate that, or it's a combination of it's too rough, we're not calling one this way, or it's too rough and we're not calling that. That goes to the whole second conversation later is referees inconsistency. But you actually will see more parents fighting. I saw a video earlier when I was upstairs scrolling through the whole book of faces. There was a fight at like a West Virginia St. Louis basketball game, and the old man, he was 60-something plus 7, fighting with a younger guy.
Wow.
And they were dragging them both out of the stands. I mean, where are we at with sports that we have? I mean, it's terrible in football games, but where are we at that we're at a college basketball game fighting an old man and being drug out of the stands?
Well, I mean, with college, of course, you got one thing that's added to those that I don't. That's not supposed to be at the we'll say the little league games. But we're not gonna say it's not there.
Yeah, we ain't gonna say it ain't around, but I mean, why? I'm trying to understand. I mean, he made a good point. When he said today that it's a close contact sport, and if somebody's roughing up your son or your daughter, it'll be boys or girls basketball, and you're roughing up and you're getting shoved around down in the paint, and they get pushed down, you want a foul.
Yeah, of course.
And then if we do this return, or the coach goes, get them back, that again, instead of going, hey, play a little rough, let's get a little rough back. Don't get stupid about it, but let's play back. But we have parents that want to stand in the stands and chirp.
Yep.
And just let them play. Again, I didn't think about it, but it is probably just as rough as any other sport out there. It's a physical sport.
It is.
And again, we are playing youth basketball. The referees in youth basketball are young.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen different arrays of them, so you have to be understanding to who they are. And then I always hear this, well, they're getting paid to do this. They're not professionals.
No.
I mean, yes, if you go to a college basketball game or a high school basketball game, and they're getting paid, I don't know, I'm going to say they probably make about $100 to $150 a game for basketball. That's just an assumption number. I have no idea. I know what we got paid to do umpiring in baseball, so I know kind of a range. But let's say they probably for high school. So, yeah, they should have more years under their belt.
Yep.
Again, what I think parents forget in the stands is that we as umpires, we as officials have to learn somewhere.
Yep.
So where do we learn at?
Little kids. We'll say youth.
We learn at youth. We're going to be human. We're going to make mistakes.
Yep.
And so you have to sit back as a parent in a basketball stand or gym and go, okay, he's learning. Now, if it gets ridiculously stupid, that's different. If you've got somebody that has, comes in and you've seen them at high school ball games and they're like, hey, I'm helping out this weekend, and they're being dumb, okay, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you've got a lot of our kids that are learning to be umpires or that are being referees or whatever, or officials, let's just say officials, you give them a break.
Yeah.
I mean, last time I looked, there wasn't Nike or any other college recruiting.
Coach Cal might be out there.
Yeah, Coach Cal was not in the gymnasium watching your kid. So, I mean, just relax. Enjoy it. Because what will happen is you will get kicked out and you will be made a fool of yourself.
Yep.
Over absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
To me, it's absolutely nothing. And then people will disagree with that. And that's okay.
Yep.
But Now, if my son or my daughter got hurt and got flagrantly fouled and shoved down, then as a parent, yeah, I'm gonna want to say something. But if it's flagrant and obvious, somebody's gonna call them.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be left alone. So I don't know. I don't think that's. I think that pushes kids away.
Yeah.
They get embarrassed by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know that. I think
Yeah.
you've asked me. The girls have asked me. Dad, don't be a fool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because I can be. I'm just
Yeah.
like anybody else. I
Yeah.
can be a fool like anybody else. But I respectfully was like, no, I'm not going to embarrass my kid. Some people don't care.
No, some people don't.
So, you know, I think again, parents are helping push for their kids to be all stars or the best player, and I think it creates a lot of animosity in basketball.
Yep, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I think that we, in youth sports, and again, if you're my dad's a jackass, I don't want to go. I mean, it happens.
Yep,
it happens.
Absolutely.
I think we digressed on that a little bit. I think we were talking about the actual participation level, or I'm not for sure.
I don't remember.
We've kind of got off topic quite a bit there. I'm just kind of just covered up with stuff in my head. So, but
gotta get it out somehow.
Yeah, I really think that just watching, for me, the frustration, and I'm not an avid basketball watcher. I have no kids that have done much of basketball, but when you go and you spend money to go to AAU tournament, and then you play that level, and then you come back to basketball at high school or recreational ball, you have to change your mentality.
Yep.
Because the expectation is when you go play AAU basketball, you better have high-ranked officials or very good officials. And if you don't, you have a right at that point to complain, mouth, fuss, because you're paying money, big money, you know what I'm saying, to do that, whether it's watered down or not. And that's the other thing. A lot of these directors things will be watered down because, well, we've got 100 teams that want to get in it. Let's put 25 more in, so we got 125. Well, you got to have enough referees to do those games.
Yep.
Well, then you start pulling them out of the woodworks, and it may not be the best. So your expectation levels when you play club is everything's high level.
Yep.
And you go to high school and you don't get that, you're mad.
Yep.
You're just angry.
Yep.
But the play level is down. Some schools don't have the talent, just like anything else that you do. Some schools are phenomenal at football, but the basketball team struggles.
Yep.
We see that here in this county.
Absolutely.
So, you have to be very aware of your what level that you're playing in order to, I guess, want to say complain.
Yeah.
About the those type things, and parents coming out of the stands and being upset. So as a parent, you need to stop. We're at high school, and usually, from what I saw, Kentucky high school officials are really, really good.
As
far as basketball.
From the games we watched,
from basketball, even in this area, I think the officials are pretty good. The parents, I think, I'm not going to say it's demographic, but I think it is. I think there's certain areas that are really high-level basketball, and they love the game, and they're very vocal, and they're very this. And then, you have the parents and the teams that are just, they watch the game, they do their thing, they know. I don't want to say respectful. They're just, they're
to themselves.
Yeah. They may bitch and complain all the way home.
Yeah.
But they're not vocal about it.
Yeah.
So you have both perspectives. I like that perspective because I think it doesn't distract from the game.
No.
It doesn't distract from the kids. But then, others will on the flip side will say, well, it encourages the kids. It fires the kids up. Yeah, you're right.
I can see, yeah.
You're right with that too. But, I think with the aggression of parents now, it's in all different age groups. It's kind of, to me, it's gotten a little bit I think, and especially maybe in basketball, we hear a lot more that there's stuff that's happening in Little League. We hear it throughout the year after year, that we've had some pretty substantial things happen at basketball tournaments or basketball games here in Warwick County.
Yeah.
You know that we've
Yeah.
had some people that have been arrested at basketball games and
Yep.
stuff. So I don't know. We were talking about parents and the aggressiveness, because I don't know. I get what he was saying today, that it's a close contact sport, and
Yeah.
close contact leads to, it is close, and even in the stands it's close.
Yep.
So, kind of when you go to play recreational basketball, there's not a whole lot of places to sit, and if you watch these AAU games, there's 1,000 people around the court. I mean, it's packed. So tempers can flare, and somebody says, "Well, little Johnny out there ain't no." Well, that's my little Johnny.
Yeah.
And
it may be parents not even watching the game.
Right. It may be somebody's not even involved in that game. That kid ain't worth shit. But that's my kid.
Yeah.
So, and that stuff can kind of escalate beyond, but I still think that some of again, it boils down to, with any sport, as parents, we can be vocal. We can be, as long as we're not disrespectful, but we set an example.
Yeah.
Just like the older players that are playing in the NBA are setting an example. But I still think they've earned that example. They've earned that spot to be there. College kids have earned it, but I don't know. I think that we're seeing a lot of issues in youth sports due to trying to emulate something that we are not ready to emulate.
Yep.
We're not ready to emulate professional sports.
No, we're not.
And the parents think that we are. The coaches think that we should be teaching that. And I think that the kids are the ones that are suffering for it. I think there's a lot of kids that are really talented they'll play high school ball, and they'll be able to play college ball, but if they have dreams and aspirations of playing at the NBA level, they're not going to make it. Personal opinion. So, anyway, we can get off the topic of beating up parents and this, that, and the other, but I am one, so I can rightfully say that.
You can
I can rightfully do that.
Yeah, you're right.
Not that I'm the greatest parent as far as a sports parent, but I feel like that I still think that one of the problems with youth sports is we as parents are trying to live vicariously through our kids. We couldn't accomplish it, so by gosh, little Johnny's going to be the best basketball player there is.
Yep.
I never could do it, but he's got talent. Okay. As long as you're teaching the fundamentals, it'll show.
Yep.
But anyway, that's kind of my thought on some of the basketball stuff. I think that was all over the place, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was not really as organized as last week's. I think it just kind of just came out.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just, basketball is one of my weaker sports. You know a lot about football, and I'm learning a lot more about football. But next year we'll try to dabble a little more in basketball and see what we got.
Sure.
But I think basketball is a great sport. I think it's, for health wise, it's probably one of the best sports. I think.
Yeah.
And as far as youth, it's one of the easiest sports for these kids to do.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's inexpensive.
Inexpensive. There's so many courts you can go to. You mean
some areas are fighting for, I would say, bigger inner cities and stuff. They may not have the indoor facilities. I mean, here you got, golly, I don't even know how many courts we've got available, inside and outside.
That's half talking about, outside. All these parks.
So I mean, there's plenty of facilities, there's plenty of opportunities for these kids to do that. So it's a good thing that they do it. But do you think that these kids are getting overrun with it?
All right, can you get overrun with a sport? I guess that's the question. You think it's possible to be overrun by a sport?
Well, I guess I know that it never stops. Like all these sports now, you know how you used to have multi-sport athletes, and that's another conversation.
Yeah.
I have my opinion on multi-sport athletes. I love the idea. I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
I think it's more difficult now than it was when I was in school.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I mean by that is, explain to me when basketball stops.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Football. When's football stop?
Right. It's baseball stop. I mean, some of these basketball is the only sport that doesn't have to do what?
Weather. Ain't worry about the weather.
Nope. You don't have to worry about the weather. So basketball is a never-ending sport.
Yeah.
And with the enticement of it, the money behind basketball, and the other subject that's coming down that we'll talk about in another time podcast at some point is the NIL.
Yep.
Do you believe it is in high school?
That's crazy.
It is in high school sports, and there are some states, believe this or not, have a cap of $150,000 of NIL money for a high school player.
Wow. See, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
So not only is the NIL hurt college or hurting, I feel it's, again, we're going to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
I don't think it's completely hurting. I think it's helping in certain aspects. It's just everybody's legally doing it now, not just the 5 big teams that were basically doing it in football or they were doing it under the covers.
Yeah.
Everybody's able to play the same playing field. But I have a whole different opinion on that one. But, it never ends.
Yeah.
And can you play too much? I mean, right now we're doing, well, let's talk about it. Let's just real quick. We got a few more minutes. We'll wrap this up. Right now you're playing high school basketball.
Yeah.
High school basketball ends. Well, guess what happens? We go right back into AAU.
Yeah.
And it never ends.
No.
Is that good or bad?
I'd say kids' bodies got to have a little bit of break somewhere.
I mean, they are kids, but I would hope we'll hopefully some point we'll get to have David come down and talk to us about it. But
yeah,
I would say that any point I would anticipate, I could be wrong.
It could be
that he would say that rest is very important in any sport.
Yeah,
time off is very important in any sport.
Yeah,
so that's why you try to have multi-sport athletes. But a lot of these, if you play for these AAU teams, these travel or club programs, they don't want to.
No.
So what are you really trying to accomplish? If you sit down and ask an AAU travel ball coach or club coach, he goes, what's your goal?
Yeah.
To win. That's everybody's goal.
Yeah, of course.
That's what we used to tell our program. We told our parents, well, what'd you join our program for? Why did you play with us? Was you on our team? And they'd all have different opinions, different options, I'm sure. Some good, some bad, some whatever.
Yeah. But
our goal at the end of the day was to build character young men.
Yep.
And win. But that's everybody's goal.
Yeah.
But everybody's not going to be successful and win every game.
No.
So I think that's another flaw for youth sports and youth basketball.
Yeah.
We all are trying to win every game at all costs, and we forget that we're trying to develop.
Yep.
I mean, I could care less if I was coaching rec basketball. I mean, I would want to win every game, but at the end of the day, you'd look at it and go, okay, we're 500.
Yep.
But what did these kids learn?
Did they get better throughout the year?
Did they get better? Did I have parent issues?
Yeah.
Did I get into it with the referees? All those type of questions should be asking in the basketball season.
Yeah.
Was that stuff a part of my year?
Yep.
What dominated my year as a coach?
Yep.
What can I improve on for the kids? I think we all get blindsided from a parent, from a coach, that we're ultimately there for the kid. Once you get to high school, different.
Yep.
You're there for both reasons because your job is on the line.
Yep.
So you're going to do what you should do to be successful. But granted, there's a little more into that that comes along with that. But as soon as you step into college, it's all about you being successful.
Yep.
And putting the kids in the limelight. If you don't put these kids in the limelight, you're not going to be successful as a coach at these bigger schools.
Nope.
So it progresses. So we need to understand that we're not college coaches. We're not NBA coaches. We don't have NBA players. We don't have college players. But we eventually want to be the guy or the coach or the parent that when you interview your child or they interview your child at college and they go, well, how'd you do today? Well, they can reiterate the game. They understand the game. They have basketball IQ. Like I've watched some of these kids, it's like, wow, man, these guys could be commentators.
Yeah.
And the good ones can't because they can foresee the game.
Yeah.
We need to teach basketball IQ young.
Yep.
And I don't know that we're doing that. Again, personal opinion, personal discussion. You know, that's just my thought.
Yeah.
And so, you have anything else for this season? I think we beat this dead horse for a little while.
I think we did.
I think it was a little bit way out there tonight.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this one?
I don't know how I felt about it. It was kind of, like you said, it was everywhere.
Yeah, it was all over the place. Not the way I wanted to go, but we'll post it out there and see what anybody listens to it, sees anybody sees it. But we hope they do.
Yep, absolutely.
If they don't, then we'll go back at it next week.
Yeah, try again.
We'll probably try again, but we'll send it out there and see what happens.
Yep.
I know we're gonna follow up with some basketball scores, but we're gonna try to make this a little more into something that we know. So we're gonna probably start with the next week, get into a little bit of baseball season.
Yep.
I know I'm pretty sure college baseball starts this weekend.
Does it? Okay.
So we're more comfortable with that.
Yep.
So we're gonna delve into try to make this a little more successful. Again, thank you for watching Soki Sports Talk.
Yep.
We apologize if it was all over the place tonight. We had a plan, but I think our plan went astray, and I didn't follow our agenda. But
that's all right. That happens.
We'll get better next time, and we'll try to keep the audience. They might go, I can't watch this and shut this garbage off, but that's okay.
Yep.
We'll get better. So, all right. Again, from the basement, I'm Nathan Perkins, your host, co-host.
I'm Drake Perkins.
And thank you for watching us.
Yeah,